välkomna både ni där via Teams och er på plats. Vi kör lite dubbelt idag. Spännande att se hur det här går. Jag heter Anna Billstedt och driver Mindact AI Nexus tillsammans med Mattias som sitter bakom kameran idag. Så han ser ni ju inte här. Och idag så har vi med oss Christo som ska prata om sin drönarlösning. Först tänkte jag bara presentera lite om mig och vårt företag och vad Mindact AI Nexus är för någonting. Mattias? Där. Mindact. Vi är alltså ett företag som arbetar med andra företag för att lära och utbilda inom AI. Hjälpa till att identifiera områden där man kan använda AI för att bli mer effektiv helt enkelt. Och det gör vi både genom föreläsningar och utbildningar. Men även genom analyser, konsultation och tillsammans med utvecklande partners inom AI olika områden. Rätt partner för rätt sak för att hjälpa företagen nå det målet de vill. Så en oberoende AI-advisor på något sätt. Mindact AI Nexus har vi för att företagen idag säger vi vill komma igång med AI men vi vet inte hur. Och då får de hjälp med hur och förstå vad tekniken är och vilka möjligheter som finns med tekniken helt enkelt. Vi vet att Sverige halkar efter och det är mycket på grund av de här frågetecknena. Så de vill vi reda ut och hjälpa till med. Jag vill också berätta om nästa tillfälle som vi har i januari då 550 grundare Anders Bjurström kommer hit och pratar och han kommer prata om AI inom industrin. Mer information kommer finnas på vår hemsida om detta alldeles strax. Eller inom kort, inom några dagar helt enkelt. Men nu över till Christo som ska berätta om sin drönarlösning. Och det kommer ske på engelska. Så varmt välkomna allihopa. Och varmt välkommen Christo.
Tack så mycket. Stort tack på Mindact, Anna och Mattias. Allihopa var här. De var hem. Välkomna. Jag ska sluta med svenska nu. I'll go over to English because I'm not going to use up everything. All right, so welcome everyone. Thanks for sharing your time with us over here. All right. So to begin, this talk is just going to be a little bit about how we ended up where we are, a little bit about the background, where we are at the moment, and then our plans going forward. Okay, so to begin, this might be a very innocent picture of rocks, right? You might be asking, why would I put up a picture of rocks? So I'm just going to take a couple of questions. These rocks are actually communicating with us, but can we guess, what are the rocks saying to you? Yeah, that's they're doing what rocks are supposed to do, right? They lying there. But if we question a little bit more, we can actually see that there is actually something that they are communicating. One could ask questions like, how did they end up there? How long have they been lying there? Did the rocks roll down a hill and end up there? Or how come there's no rocks in the foreground? Are there rocks behind where the picture was taken from? So a lot of times in life, people or objects are communicating with us. We just need to be sensitive enough to what they're trying to communicate, right? Can anyone take a guess how these rocks ended up here? Exactly, millions of years ago, through the Ice Age, they were picked up, taken to there, the ice melted, and they were randomly deposited there, right? So in life, we need to be sensitive enough to all the information that's coming into us. Our eyes can only see a very small part of the visible spectrum. You can see there's infrared, there's gamma rays, there's all sorts of different spectrum. But because our eyes can only see a very, very small part of it, we are unconscious to what actually exists there. And you know, there's a saying that says, seeing is believing, which typically means that if I don't see it, I don't believe it. But just because we don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Same with our hearing. We can only detect between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz. But dogs can hear sounds higher or lower than that. It's just that we as humans are just not sensitive enough to pick up these communications. So we're not able to perceive what actually is around there. So if we look at this spectrum over here, thanks to technology, we've been able to detect X-rays. We've been able to detect infrared, all through the use of technology. So we can actually use technology to get a better understanding of actually what is being communicated by nature. So a little bit background about me. I was minding my own business in South Africa, and I've been in the Air Force, flying helicopters, airplanes, blah, blah, blah. And met a Swedish lady, and that was 2008. And eventually she said, let's come to Sweden. So left all that behind and ended up at Gummifabriken, on the doorsteps of Gummifabriken. Yeah. So being a little bit entrepreneurial, I said I actually want to leave that aviation lifestyle behind. I had a good time. It was wonderful. I'm blessed. But now I want to move into innovation. So I came up with a few ideas, I think about 55 new ideas at that stage. And I was looking for an outlet for these ideas. And I was just saying earlier today, I was on the doorsteps. I was on the steps downstairs in the building. The library hadn't opened. I had a meeting. And along comes this guy called Adam Svensson. And he's like, hey, we've got office space upstairs. Do you want to come up to the science park? And I'm like, yeah, this could be great. So I came to this very modern facility that we're actually in today. And I pitched Adam initially 9 ideas to get into a program. Adam rejected all 9. I still think they were pretty good. But eventually, idea number 10 got me into a program at Jönköping University, and that was Jönköping Science Park, and that was some sort of winter accelerator program. But a week or 2 into that, I came up with another idea and then changed there. It was during this stage where I actually met someone from the Science Park. They had won an award, a guy called Joachim Stenberg. And I invited him here to Värnamo, and he told me about this problem in Sweden called the granbarkborren. I don't know anything about trees. I don't know nothing about beetles. But he told me if one looks at this picture over here, you can actually see that it's a beetle that infects the trees and kills them. And up to this point, there hadn't been a very effective solution. So I just put this in the back of my mind. And it's good to know about the problems, but it doesn't really affect me. So I'm going to carry on with my life. And during this time, I was just going through my awareness. But then also at the Science Park, we had a lecture from Petrus Ekblad. He's the AI awareness guy there. And it was during this lecture where he mentioned the potential of AI. And I sat there thinking, you've got AI here, you've got this problem over here. Perhaps if someone could build a bridge across the two, we could maybe figure this problem out. So it took me a few months, and eventually I called Joachim up. I'm like, Joachim, I think I've got a solution, an approach. Let's try it out. So I went back to Petrus, and I said, Petrus, I need to build an AI model. How do I start? So Petrus says, you need to start with data. You need to collect data. So the only problem was I had no data. All I knew is that I had to go collect it. So I reached out to a lot of people, institutions, universities, and everyone was like, sorry, can't help. And eventually one forest owner near Stockholm said, you can come to my forest and collect data. The only problem was, it was at a very cold time of the year, and I forgot my beanie and gloves, but that's besides the point. So I set up camp and took a couple of drones, camera, and started collecting data in the forest there. But the forest manager there, I actually realized something when I was walking with him. From a distance, he was able to already detect which trees were infected with the tree. Me coming from a totally unrelated space, I couldn't tell the infected tree from a healthy tree. But he sort of just was able to look at nature. He was very perceptive. And he was able to say, that one. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's got a lot of knowledge. Which got me thinking, I wonder if one could maybe automate this kind of process, use technology to absorb this kind of data. But while camping, I got a little bit paranoid about bears. I don't know where bears are in Sweden, or foxes, or whatever, but So I called my buddies from the special forces, so I'm wearing the t-shirt today. And I was like, guys, I need bear protection. Like, what can I do? So they said, like, just get a long stick and you just poke them if they come during the night. So that was my insurance policy for camping out there. But also what I realized is there's a lot that I don't know about this whole field I was going into. So because of our human perceptions, I realized that technology has its advantages, humans have the advantages, and we need to get the best of both in order to get some sort of solution. And I also realized you shouldn't camp in April. All right. So once leaving there, I realized whatever solution that we are going to build, it needs to be fast, it needs to be accurate, and it needs to be scalable. Because this granbarkborren or spruce bark beetle problem is not just found in Sweden, it's found all over the Northern Hemisphere. So it's a nice global problem if one is able to fix it. And typically you want the problem to be identified as soon as possible, at the earliest possible stage of the infection. And it needs to be an accurate sort of diagnosis. So how I like to think about whatever solution is going to be built. If you think about like a medical scan, like an MRI scan, you go in this machine, does a deep tissue scan, and the earlier you can detect a cancer, the quicker you can just cut that little pinky off and you save the rest of the body. So that's sort of the approach that we are taking with our approach. So I figured, okay, I'm getting into this AI thing. I'm going to build a team of AI agents, and they're going to help me solve this problem. So I came here to Gummifabriken on the weekends after hours, and I tried to learn Python and code, and I realized I was wasting my time. I couldn't even set up the Python environment. So eventually, after like a month or two, I was able to get out one line of code that worked. But it's a small screenshot. You don't see all the error messages above it. And I realized, you know, coding is not my thing. I need to perhaps leave that to coders. So this is when I started meeting more and more people. I met a guy called Beetlesense. He's also an award winner here from Panama, music maker. He sort of said, like, I need to take in a lot of good, high quality material. So I started looking at a lot of research papers, what had been done, what worked, what hadn't worked. So with that sort of guidance, I just started building a broad-based knowledge, technology-wise, biological-wise, that sort of stuff. And then also started reaching out to organizations. Now, I don't know a lot of people in the forestry industry. So then I met one of my old high school friends, Brendan. He's like, how about we start a podcast? And with this podcast, we could reach out to experts. It's better than a cold email that you send out to someone. Start a podcast. So we did. So it's called Heightened Senses, in keeping with the theme that we started with. So that's how we started to sort of build a little bit of a network. And then I also looked for AI developers. So through a lot of search, trial and error, we got a small team of developers together. And the one brief to them was, guys, everything is up for experimentation. We're going to try everything. We're going to try till it works. And if it doesn't, we're going to move on to the next approach. So that's sort of our guiding philosophy. So just a little bit about the beetle. The scout beetle comes. It detects trees that are stressed or injured. It goes in there and it says, okay, it takes a little bite. It's like, this is a good tree. And it releases a pheromone. This pheromone then lures the rest of the beetles. They come, they kill the tree, and then they move off to the next tree. And as you can see here, the tree progressively dies. The leaves change color, blah, 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 until. So that's sort of just the different stages that the beetle attacks a tree. So what our team did is we started creating computer vision models. It's one aspect of AI. And we were looking at different things, different signs of infestation in the trees. So we would, with my partner, Joachim, we go up, fly over forest, collect data, and then we try to test how accurate this is. Because so far we could get a certain degree of accuracy with certain models, a little bit less, and a little bit higher sort of accuracy with other models in the lab. So we began real world scanning. But there's a huge difference between what happens in the lab and what happens in the real world. So we figured that there's some stumbling blocks with our computer vision models that we need to overcome. But one good thing about gathering a lot of data is once we gather the data, we run the algorithms, we see what works, what doesn't, and then when we test the next forest, we improve. So every forest we scan, we try to get our accuracy a little bit higher and higher. All right. But then with the computer vision models, we sort of reached the limit of accuracy, right? We couldn't detect, in my thinking, we couldn't detect it early enough. The golden time is like between week 1 and 6. This is, if we could find the beetle within this time, we could really have a massive impact in terms of the spread to the rest of the forest. So at this stage, we started coming up with an approach like maybe we should try to smell the pheromone because it's one of the earliest signs in the when it infects the trees. Right. So there's a thing that gets released, biological volatile organic compounds. Sorry, no dogs were hurt in the making of this picture. It's the AI generated picture. So this is sort of the approach that we did because we saw that dogs are able to detect these pheromones. So surely we could build something that could do it. So with that, we created our first e-nose. This was a pure electronic nose, and we built it from scratch. Again, none of the team knows anything about e-nose, but we learned. Trial and error, and eventually we built a version 1 of the e-nose. So the e-nose was successful. We could get it to smell the pheromone up to 3 meters away, which was pretty decent, but it's sort of not the desired result. So we started version 2, and that's what we've been working on the last little bit. The deadline was the 1st of December, which was a couple of weeks ago. So we got some grant funding from an organization called Leader Linear through the EU, gave us some money, and with that, we were able to buy equipment and start developing a biosensor. With that, we got a bit of money from ELMI to patent this. There was grants for patentability, so when we get more money, we will continue the patent process in due course. But we did get some very good results from our biosensor. We've decided we are going to work on another version now. Now we got very good results. We want a lot more accurate and to smell from a lot further away. So me and our extended team now, we're going to start building. We actually had some meetings already today. So just a little breakup of the team. I'm the CEO. We got Ide. He's got his own AI company called Splitter.ai, Hollywood music producer. So we're happy to have him as our tech advisor. Brendan LaGrange, he put some, my high school buddy, he put some money so we could register the company, and podcaster, and he's good with networking. And then we got Joachim, our chief drone pilot. He's based up near Jönköping. Then we've got our AI developers. They are so good. I'm not even going to give you their names, where they're from. That's our secret sauce there. And we're really happy with them. And then we got our contributors. So we could not have gotten where we are now without the support of everyone over here. I mean, Matthias from Mindact initially got us our first test scan forest that we could go to. Thank you to our buddy out there. We've had a lot of collaboration from different universities that we're speaking to. They give us research papers. We've got access to their researchers, biologists, all sorts of things. So I don't know if you know, like if you're sweeping, like you got a little bit of dirt, you got more, the dirt gets bigger, not that the guys are dirt, but you know, we're just accumulating as time goes on. The amount of support we're getting is really increasing. We're currently in 2 incubators. Ideon Science Park down in Lund, been very supportive, and then also currently Founders Loft up in Gothenburg at the Zebra Academy. We're involved with them. And then just recently, we've been accepted into Lund University Innovation. We just started with them last week, so that's good. And then the newest member of contributor is actually MIT. So we pitched to them a few times during the course of the year, and eventually MIT said, okay, we'll help you out. So at this stage, we don't have a working product. We don't have a customer, but all that is going to change very quickly. Just a little something about the way forward. We've been invited to Silicon Valley in April 2025. And with that, we're going to be doing a road trip across America. But more details on that will be coming in the near future. We really think we're onto something. We don't know what yet, but I believe if you put a group of motivated people in a room, give them a tough problem, they'll solve it. So that's our approach. Don't know how, don't know when, but we're going to do it. That's the only thing I know. All right. So a little bit where we are in our journey. It's called the adopters curve, tech adoption curve. We sort of at the beginning part of that, it's called the chasm, right? So what I realized with our previous approach, I've been trying to reach out to big forestry companies in the world, here in Sweden. But because our technology is too early and too untested, they are not prepared to take a chance with us. So we've had to change tactics and go to the little guys, you know, people that are more open to experimentation. So if there is anyone out there in the world here or out in the interwebs, if you would like to collaborate with us, invite us to your forest to come and do a scan there, we're happy to come do that. We believe as our technology improves and gets better, and hopefully with the help of MIT, we're going to jump over that little chasm there and get some traction in spring next year when the beetle becomes a real problem, not just here in Sweden, but the whole entire Northern Hemisphere. So yeah, we've got short-term goals, got medium-term goals, we've got long-term goals. We think we're going to get there if everything goes well. So now we're at a point where we've gone from no data to a little bit of data, but we still need a lot more data, because the more data we get, the more accurate we can create our models, and the bigger impact we can have, not just here in Sweden, but also globally, and really help reduce the problem around the world. So yeah, we're looking to increase our accuracy, be faster, and have a much larger impact than just here in Värnamo. We're thinking a bit broader than that. So you're welcome to get in touch. All the contact details are there. This project is bootstrapped. So if you got Swish, you're welcome to scan and give a little donation there. But yeah, you can find us on all the social media platforms. We try to update our progress quite regularly. You can follow our progress, and yeah, keep rooting for us. You know, this is going to benefit everybody. So I think that is it.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Yeah, it's really, really interesting what you're doing, and I hope you will get a lot of customers later and help save the forest from these small little creatures that's just terrible things. Do we have any questions? The ones online could type in the chat, and over here, any questions? Nobody in the chat? No, Johanna, I will give you the microphone. Wait.
Honestly, I have to speak English in the microphone. Thank you for that. This is so interesting. As I told you when I came here, I work with the agricultural schools within forestry. And how long will it take you to scan a forest? And because I guess you have to get around everywhere with a drone, because I've been walking around the forest and that's hard enough, but how to get around with a drone, and how far can you away from the drone can you be?
So at this stage, when we compare ourselves to the dogs, apparently the dogs can sniff 40 hectares a day. With the drone, we could theoretically, what we've tested so far is 1 hectare a minute. So it is considerably larger. That's if you just use one drone. So I'll leave it there. But at this stage, 3 meters is our technological boundary, but that was with 2 versions ago. We will push that limit in the next few months. So our goal is that by the next spring, we will at least have some working models that are ready to go to market.
Another question.
How many pictures of data do you count as a little amount of data for your AI models?
Okay, so it all depends on the size of the forest. So some people that have invited us to their house have like a 20 hectare forest. Some people have a 200 hectare forest. So we're taking a few thousand pictures, even for the small forest. So it does add up, but the more the better, you know.
Thank you, and I will walk over here and we have another questions.
So I'm a little bit curious about this enos thing, because you can smell pheromone. What is it?
Pheromones, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So if you do this project, you can use that nose for other stuff, right? You can basically smell whatever.
Correct.
Okay, so you have plans for the future for that?
Correct.
Thank you. Any other questions? Here it's quiet and nothing online. Okej, då tackar jag så jättemycket. Tack Christo för att du ville komma och berätta om din lösning. Och varmt välkomna den 14 januari för nästa Mindact AI Nexus, då vi träffar Anders Bjurström. Ha det bra och god jul allihopa!
Tack Anna, tack Mattias.